mantasha watuzil mantasha. Well, at the outset, I would like to congratulate first to everyone who was the reason behind making this event possible today. Of course, it includes the SABS team, every individual at the SABS team, but then at the same time, Prem Saab and CKD, the Center for Knowledge Development, but then again our partners, which is the University of Sufism and Modern Sciences, because somehow the concept, when we start Latif, it is connected with the Sufism. Well, in fact, there were several questions which been raised in the mind, and India, Pakistan, sustainability, mathematics, poetry, art. But I think we better talk and start with one word which is very common nowadays, and I think we all are aware of it. It's 17 SDGs, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is a big question mark when we talk about global warming, when we talk about flooding, when we talk about heat waves in Pakistan. But of course, not only in Pakistan, globally that's a big issue. And that is a big issue, in fact, which raised the eyebrows, and also our concentration goes to this word green. Eco-environment, eco-friendly, everything which needs to be eco. Why? Because we need to survive together on this globe. The sustainability means that today what we will do, we will make our future generation at least livable. So they will survive when we will not be there. This is a major question that each one of us has to ask, and of course at the same time we need to answer. As an educational institutions, we have a prime responsibility to devise new curricula. Yes, somebody said about it, wonderful. Yes, we need to work on to the multidisciplinary approach, wonderful. But how these different multiple disciplines can combine together? There is an answer that whether there is a mathematics and poetry can be connected or not. Have you heard of golden ratio? The word golden ratio that has been utilized by artists, but even go much more from these human capacities to Allah Pak. Allah Pak is the biggest artist. He's the biggest creator. But when we talk about the creation of this entire universe, it is not without mathematics. Every second, every moment, everything that is going on to this universe is very calculated. So the evidences of poetry and art and mathematics are very obvious, and that exist in this world all around. And there is a major reason that we try to extract out certain lessons from the Sufis. Yes, of course, Latif is one of them, but we are not intending to stop at the poetry of Latif. We will go much more beyond that. We will talk about Sachal Sarmas, we will talk about Kalandar, and even much more beyond the boundaries of the Sindh, we will talk about Bulle Shah. And yes, another big poets who are our ancestors, who have already given us lessons which our generations need to learn, which our generations need to understand, irrespective Sindhi mushkil hai, asana hai, samjh mein ache thi, nathi ache. But of course we need to understand and we need to extract the lessons out of it. But the question is again how to make it more simplified. So the lessons can be learned from these Sufis who have talked about this and giving us a culture and nature, and at the same time gave us a lessons for livinghood, talking about harmony, peace, tolerance, which doesn't exist in our world today, unfortunately. These are all things that we need to learn together, because what is our responsibility as an educational institutions is to make our next generation understand how to live in this society with peace, tolerance, harmony, and making it sure that whatever we do will be feasible for others to live on this planet too. So looking into the sustainable development goals and then connecting it to the different words of equality and inclusivity, what we are trying to do is to create new dimensions of learning, new methods of teaching, and new pedagogies through which we can make it sure that every individual understands the importance of inclusivity. And when we say inclusivity, in fact, it allows me and you to live together. It allows all of us to understand the feelings, the emotions, the empathy that we have to carry for our next generation and for this generation too. So understanding this word of inclusivity, which is not a new word, which has already been told and taught us from our ancestors. But what is our purpose is to let the lessons from those and see how this inclusivity can still be practiced in our society when there is an ailment, whereas unfortunately there is negativity. So taking the responsibility ahead, learning lessons from our ancestors of these peace and harmony, we want to convert it into the art, because we are sitting into the place which is a university promoting art and culture. It's art, design and heritage. The lessons are there, we just need to convert them into something which is more understandable. And then of course connecting it to the mathematics. And there was a reason, sir, we have established, or we are in a process of establishing, means virtually we have already done it, the establishment of PAM Research Center at SABS University in collaboration of CKD and other universities too. So purpose is to connect P, poetry, A, art and M, mathematics together to create some work which will be very distinct in its nature, and then will help us to communicate this message of sustainability not only to our generation but to the next two. Because yesterday I was talking about Generation Z, and the purpose of talking about Gen Z is they have very small, minute acceptance and tolerance, but at the same time in 8 seconds they'll start thinking of something else. So their focus span is very small. What we are trying to do with this advanced technologies that of course include virtual reality, that of course include artificial intelligence, that of course include mathematical modeling, because if you say mathematical modeling is always there. If you talk about poetry, it's symmetry. If you talk about art, there are vertical perspectives. There are 3 dimensions, there are 2 dimensions. And even if you see, the world is talking about 7 dimensions. And they're already been there, not only in the poetry but in our Quranic verses too. So what is our responsibility is to understand what exists there, convert it into a shape which can be communicated. So it's not a creation of a knowledge, but rather it's more of like understanding and dissemination of a knowledge for the purpose of creating prosperity, positivity in our society. And with the slogan of 4 Ps at SABS University, we are in fact taking a responsibility to make it sure that at least as an education institution, we will create something. We will disseminate something that will create our, at least, society and make the people live in harmony. Thank you very much, everyone, for making this event possible and making this all entire 2 days, International Symposium, starting from a wonderful work that we have seen in the Latif Garden, and then a very, very interesting exhibition, and again some songs which were there, which I'm also looking forward that we are going to have some more music today. And then followed up by very wonderful research papers that talk about different disciplines, that talk about mathematics, they talk about art, they talked about architecture, they talk about heritage, but they talk about flora and fauna. And all these words, when they work together, when they combine together, today we made it possible to sit here in front of you all in this panel discussion. Finally, thank you very much, every individual who made this event possible, who spared their time, and we are committed to go on. It is not an end, it's just a beginning. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan.